Well, I'm not ready to make an announcement about anything just yet, Carl, but it is something that I'm still strongly considering. I would love to represent the people of my home state in North Carolina, but it is, as you know, a very big decision. It means, a lot of changes for our family, so we're sort of working things out, and I hope to have something to announce very soon.
Right. Well, so we'll put you down for a definite maybe. We'll have you back when that. All right. So obviously, Eric, your husband, you've seen firsthand what this does to a family, what it's doing. I mean, you have everybody and their brother going after the business, the way of life, even your kids. How much does that weigh on your decision?
Well, it does weigh a lot. I think, sadly, the Democrats are trying to do everything possible to keep good people from running for office. I mean, their goal is to harass people to a point that they say, well, gosh, it's just not worth it. Well, I would never do something because they tried to dissuade me from doing it. And I think that that should be the goal for us as Republicans. We have to fight back against this. We have to fight back against the cancel culture and the nonsense. But look, my family is my #1 priority. So it is a decision that we have had to discuss as a family, and we will continue to do so.
Yeah. So let's say you're the senator tomorrow. What is the main issue that you're driving at for the people in North Carolina if you should decide to run, because you probably would be elected, let's be honest?
Well, I would have to take my notes directly from the people in North Carolina. But gosh, I think they really want somebody in Washington, D.C. to represent the values, quite frankly, that Donald Trump did. They want people that care about putting America first. They want to make sure that we have jobs that are abundant in America again, that, we face what is going on this southern border and we tackle it. We cannot have a broken immigration system like you currently see under the Biden administration and think that that's going to be a positive thing for America. We cannot move forward in the way that we have been on our southern border. It's going to destroy our country. We need strength in Washington, D.C. We need people to stand up and do what's right and put America and Americans first.
And, one of the most genuine qualities that you have, and as well as the rest of the family, is that you are real people. You're not just some, ideologue who speaks well, who goes on TV and has, pushes this agenda. You are actually real people. You're very down to earth. You're normal folks. You relate. You can go into a bar room, a boardroom, or a bowling alley and have the same conversation with every single person. So, one of the big things that President Trump has been cut off from recently was Twitter and Facebook and all these, his ability to reach the normal person who at home elected him because they were like, hey, that's my guy. So, there's talk that he's getting onto this new social media platform, maybe something called Free Space, maybe something else. What else can you tell us about that?
Well, I'll leave that up to him to make the big announcement. But look, I do know that there are roughly 75 million Americans, and probably a lot more than that feel like their voice does not have a home anywhere. They can't go on any of these social media platforms as they currently exist and speak freely, quite frankly. They are censored. As conservatives, we know we are censored. We have all felt it. We've all seen it in different ways, and that's not right. So I think what my father-in-law wants to do ultimately is give people a space where you have your First Amendment right to freedom of speech. You have the ability to say whatever it is you want to say, and you're not going to have the fact checkers, Carl, pouncing on you every instant. I thought it was ridiculous during the campaign that I would post a photo of my children and I would get some sort of a bar at the bottom that said, like, fact checkers about COVID-19. And I'm like, this is about my kids. It's crazy. We need freedom, and people want that. So, look, who better to provide it than President Trump?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Look, I posted something on Twitter the other day where I was quoting a CDC article. I had the screenshot of the CDC, and it said, talking about COVID-19, and I was like, they were like, well, fact checkers, independent fact checkers have deemed this out of context. Out of context? What the heck are you talking about? You see it all the time. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah. So, many Republicans, they still, myself included, we still crave Trump's input on things because, the guy, for everyone's complaints about him, the guy cared. He gave a darn about the American people in their home. Are they better off than they were 4 years ago? And it was the economy. That was his driving factor. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are going into primaries. They're going to primary some of these GOPers, these rhinos, that didn't uphold his agenda. They said they did, but they didn't. They never actually put both feet in the water. They just kind of dipped their toe in. And he's going out and he's endorsing some of these people now. Talk about the dynamic of a presidential endorsement in a GOP primary, which, former president rarely does anything like that.
Well, as you know, Donald Trump follows his own rules, and this is no different. But look, I think these rhinos, as you adequately put it, are part of the problem. They're part of a broken system that really is not working for Americans anymore. And so I think we saw how impactful over the past 4 years an endorsement from Donald Trump could be for so many people. So look, this is something that he feels very strongly about. You are never going to fix things if you keep having people who call themselves Republicans but don't vote that way, representing the people of this country. It doesn't work. So I think what he's doing, it's pretty bold. But again, this is something that we have come to expect from Donald Trump. We know that his endorsement carries a lot of weight. He oftentimes gets people over the line if they're struggling to get over. But yeah, in a primary, it is unique. But I think it's going to be really helpful for people. And look, we need some good America First people that care about this country, that love America, and that want to see the right things happen representing people in Washington, D.C.
It's funny you mentioned the right things happening. So this just came out the other day that Bernie Sanders, of all people, he took his shots at Trump, obviously, but he made an interesting statement that he's really uncomfortable with Trump being kicked off social media, specifically Twitter. And he went nuts over this. Check this out.
This is a bad news guy. But if you're asking me, do I feel particularly comfortable that the then president of the United States, could not express his views on Twitter? I don't feel comfortable about that. Do you want the internet to be used for authoritarian purposes and insurrection, if you like? No, you don't. So how you balance that, I don't know. But it is an issue that we have got to be thinking about, because if anybody who thinks, yesterday it was Donald Trump who was banned, and tomorrow it could be somebody else who has a very different point of view. So I don't like giving that much power to a handful of high-tech people.
Totalitarian communist Bernie Sanders says, I don't really want people to have that much control over stuff. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, it's one of the few things that I agree with Bernie Sanders on here. I mean, he's exactly right. Whenever these people, they shield themselves behind the idea that these are private companies and that they don't have to follow the same rules as other outlets. They absolutely should. Our First Amendment rights to freedom of speech should be upheld across the board, period. And that should be just the bottom line here. But when you have people who have the ability to censor and shut down the President of the United States, that is really scary. What he said there is 100% accurate. You might not like Donald Trump, but if it's Donald Trump today, it could be your guy or your girl tomorrow. It could be you tomorrow. So think about how scary that is whenever the power, these people are so powerful that they could shut down the President of the United States. It is not a good precedent. It is not good for the country. It's not good for our standing in the world. It's a really scary prospect. So I agree with Bernie Sanders on this one. And you won't hear me say that often, Carl.
I know.